The World Wildlife Fund is calling on you, South Africans, to celebrate and support the country's national parks. The organization has launched a campaign in partnership with the South African National Parks. The You Are Nature, Support It campaign calls on citizens to help protect the country's parks. They say you can do this by either donating or visiting some of the beautiful Sand Parks sites. But let's talk to Justin Smith, the head of business development at World Wildlife Fund. Justin, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you very much for your time this afternoon. What inspired this call? What is it exactly that South Africans maybe are or not doing that got you guys calling on them for support of our national parks?
Good afternoon, and thanks very much for the opportunity this afternoon. I think all of us realized when we had, sort of curtailed freedoms that we actually really love time in nature. And it's so important for us to just realize how incredibly blessed South Africa is in terms of our natural resources. We're one of the most biodiverse countries in the world, and we've got these incredible protected areas, our national parks and our provincial reserves. So just being able to spend time in them again is an incredible privilege, and we're really trying to encourage people to do that. I think the other side of it is that, most of our natural areas, both in South Africa and more broadly, really depend on tourism revenue for a lot of the running costs and the operations that happen. So it's been a tough year for our parks, just like it's been a tough year for many, many different parts of the economy. And by getting people back into our parks and also asking them to donate a little bit, we're really just trying to make sure that we can maintain this incredible natural heritage in South Africa.
Justin, I know we've had many a conversation here on ENCA with a number of stakeholders where our national parks and tourism is concerned, and they've all said that this industry has been hard hit, especially the tourism industry. But when it comes to the parks specifically, how hard hit have they been because of COVID-19?
So national parks depends for over 80% of their revenue in terms of tourism revenue every year. So it's been a very tough period as a result of that. And really, our natural resources and the communities and the many jobs that sort of depend on them are so interlinked that we want to make sure all of that continues to operate and make sure that we could all try and connect with nature as well. So what we've basically tried to work out is what it costs from a hectare perspective to really maintain the conservation value of our parks over the year. And that's why we're asking people really just to donate 300 Rand even, and that will protect a hectare of these incredible national parks we have in South Africa. We also have incredible marine reserves in South Africa, and that's also part of the portfolio. So, yeah, really hope that there's lots of passionate South Africans who love our natural heritage, our wildlife, and the many beautiful places, and will help us to support them.
There's a call for donation, and there's also a call for visiting our national parks. But what else can South Africans do if perhaps those two things, are beyond their capabilities?
I think just, creating awareness of how important they are within the context of our tourism economy, but also within the context of the many community enterprises and the very many jobs that our parks create. If we can make sure we recognize and celebrate them and they continue to be important, hopefully, that's a really positive sign. The other, interesting opportunity is that we're also running a competition as part of the campaign. So one of the prizes, for instance, the main prize is a very unique opportunity to experience a game capture experience with our national parks team, something that you can't do from a pure tourism perspective. There's also opportunities to win spots on the wilderness hikes and accommodation in national parks. So even if you're not normally a person who necessarily thinks about going to national parks, here's a very cost-effective way of potentially getting that experience.
Now, just before I let you go, Justin, obviously the doors have been opened, if one may put it like that, where, South Africans are allowed now to go back out and visit certain places. I know one of the places that, we had, especially a story or two, was at the Kruger National Park, and there were a number of, patrons who came out there, who went out and did what they had not been able to do for about 6 or 7 months. What has the response been in terms of the visiting of national parks in, I suppose, just the last month or two?
There's been a lot of enthusiasm. Our Sandparks colleagues are saying that they're really excited to see people, making bookings, coming back to the park, either for, overnight stays as well as day visitors. So I think, a lot of South Africans have missed being in nature and missed being in our national parks. So there's, I think, a bit of momentum building, which is fantastic. We just really encourage everybody to keep doing that. At a time when many of the other options from a travel perspective have been tricky, I think being outside in nature is a really good choice.
Justin, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. That's Justin Smith, who is the Head of Business Development at World Wildlife Fund. South Africans visit, donate, or raise awareness about how our parks, national parks out there, need to see you guys back again and just revitalize them, because COVID-19 really has seen them struggle quite a bit.